Sometimes, in the heat of debate and speaking on a multitude of issues, you don't choose the right words, or you say the wrong thing. I have done that, and believe it or not, I regret it. And I do regret it, particularly where it may have caused personal pain.
He went on, importantly, to say that, this election is about so much, and we can't dwell on some of the things that perhaps he said in the past. Donald Trump clearly delivering a very different kind of speech with a very different kind of tone than we have had in recent months. It was a speech delivered entirely from the teleprompter, so written ahead of time, and he read it. And a lot of people are saying this is kind of what he needs to do right now, because his willingness to be so forthcoming seems to have been one of the things that landed him in a bit of trouble. It's been quite a week for him. And he seems to be consistently now on message after this big campaign shakeup. Now, earlier today, we did learn that Chairman Paul Manafort announced he is resigning from the campaign. And in another change, for the first time, the campaign will air a general election TV ad taking on Hillary Clinton when it comes to security and immigration. It's pretty powerful. Watch it here.
In Hillary Clinton's America, the system stays rigged against Americans. Syrian refugees flood in. Illegal immigrants convicted of committing crimes get to stay, collecting Social Security benefits, skipping the line. Our border open, it's more of the same, but worse. Donald Trump's America is secure. Terrorists and dangerous criminals kept out. The border secure. Our families safe. Change that makes America safe again.
Okay, that's kind of the message. You can stay with Hillary Clinton and get more of the trouble that we have had recently in this country, or you go with him. Is it a message that's going to resonate? Will people respond to it? For that, we have with us Evan Siegfried. He's the author of GOP, GPS, and the chairman of the GOPAC committee, David Avella. David, how do you think this ad is going to affect Trump?
This message is one that will attract swing voters. We GOPAC just did a survey recently of women voters in Ohio. And across the groups, Republicans, Democrats, and independents, there was strong support for candidates who would defund sanctuary cities, secure our borders, and deport violent criminals. The more Donald Trump talks about keeping Americans safe, the further and further we get from a third Barack Obama term and his policies, which is what Hillary Clinton is offering. In other words, safety is what resonates. I think, David, you make an important point. And Evan, I know you don't like Donald Trump. You've never liked Donald Trump. However, thinking about this from a purely political standpoint, if you have the opportunity to run a campaign that's very much about safety right now, isn't that something that will resonate with the population, as opposed to what Hillary Clinton's doing, this, let's bring 65,000 Syrians here?
Listen, Donald Trump needs it to resonate with the population. He needs to talk about personal or national security and economic safety. And he can deliver that, or he has ideas that he needs to push. But Hillary Clinton has been going out and trying to define him early. While he wasn't running any ads, Clinton's been going out and reminding everyone of all of the mistakes he's made and all of the controversial things he's said. It would have helped actually last night had he gone further and said, not only do I regret it, but I shouldn't have doubled down on several of the things, on the Judge Curiel stuff, on the making fun of the reporter.
But, David, this is a big deal that he actually went there to begin with. I mean, Donald Trump, the guy who really doesn't like to apologize for anything, really seeming to offer this olive branch to the people last night.
Only out of Washington, D.C. do people get criticized for not doing what they're told to do, and then when they do it, it's because they weren't sincere and or they didn't do it soon enough when they were told to do it. Look, the good thing for Donald Trump is the swing voters aren't the Beltway pundits, and they're not the political election analysts who decide this election. It's swing voters in states like Ohio and Florida and New Mexico and Arizona, Iowa, that are going to decide this election. And this message, talking about American security, both not only their personal, which he talks about in this one, but also his economic security. The two candidates, between these two candidates, the one who presents the ideas that Americans believe will help them with their security, both economic and personal, that's who's going to win. And the one who best doesn't deliver 4 more years of the last 7 years of Barack Obama's policies.
You know, in other words, this campaign needs to turn into a referendum on her as opposed to a referendum on him at this point, Evan. And if he does that, can he win?
Well, you're 100% right. It does need to be a referendum on her versus a referendum on him. But I don't know if at this point, with just over 80 days to go, if there's enough time for him to do that, because he has, since June and last year, been pushing these things that have pushed people away. Look where he is among supporters. He's underperforming Romney right now. And Mitt Romney, on the eve of the election, had a massive crowd in Colorado.
Yeah,
and that didn't
okay, I'm just wondering. So someone said to me the other day, she said she was supporting Donald Trump, and she said this sort of under her breath. And she was almost afraid to say it. And she said, you know, I have to be very careful saying that in New York City because people, they don't take kindly to it. And so I wonder in some ways, David, if the media has put so much pressure on Americans as a whole to basically be so anti-Trump that, you know, if you're someone who supports him, you're seen as a racist, a bigot, a this, a that. And so people consequently are self-conscious, even though a lot of what he says seems to be resonating, David.
Yeah, there is some of that. And more probably to the point, Trish, is that the everydays of a campaign, most voters aren't paying any attention to. And there are still 2 big points in this election to occur. 1, the debates, and 2, the advertising that in many places is just getting started,
right,
which will do as much will do more, in fact, to influence the selection than everything that's occurred right up to this point. This election still has a lot of time to go. Now, there's no question Hillary Clinton, if the election were today, Hillary Clinton's going to win this race. But it's not.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about how much she's outspent him, $75 million. You saw the chart there to $5 million in terms of campaign ads.